Parliamentary maneno yuko una long the group. Usually get using information sex by way usually guys, what's going on? Good, yeah? Or person? We're gonna follow on, yeah? To the last live that we did, links into the live that we're about to do now. Speaking into some of the things we're gonna speak into now. With everything going on, I'm sure you realize the importance of us speaking on this live here in terms of August the 1st with all the emancipation of slavery kind of topic being peddled about going into carnival and stuff, and also an even more, what I think is an even more important topic when we speak about mind parasites, the entities that hatch onto our mind and stuff. So we're going to go a little bit into that. My recommended read for the day, Zachariah Sitchin, The End of Days. This is one of his later books after he wrote the Earth Chronicles, kind of like a follow-up to all the stuff that he put out on the Anunnaki in the Earth Chronicles with the 12th planet and stuff. So this is very important. If you have already read the Earth Chronicles, this is very important to kind of sum it up for you, kind of like all the questions he had over the years in regards to the Anunnaki and the theories and translations he put out on the Anunnaki. This is kind of like all the questions he had over the years since he revealed that knowledge, his kind of take on kind of like what he feels about the thing, yeah? We're going to speak into Nancy Pelosi as well, and this Taiwanese thing that's going on, this Taiwan visit. Because remember, we mentioned to you guys before how we've already spoke about stuff like that, yeah? So first, when we say mind parasites, it's exactly what the word says when we say that. When you hear mind parasites, when you think about like bugs, cockroaches, fleas, all the kind of parasites, pests in the field that yamming off your crops and stuff, the mind has its own set of parasites, or the consciousness has its own set of parasites, pests that come and kind of invade the mind and leave the mind dirty, leave the thoughts dirty, okay? If you go back to a few lives, which particular live was it? We were speaking about, I think it's mentalism. We were speaking about, the minefield of the mind, the minefield of mentalism. We were speaking about the dwellers on the threshold, talking about there's disembodied spirits or entities or even human beings, yeah, who never got to tame their animal nature. So because they never really got beyond their animal nature, they are trapped on the animal plane. Okay, let me put it like this. Remember when we spoke about the 5 rings? We're not speaking Lord of the Rings here, right? We spoke about how, I might have even said 7 initially, but there's only 5 rings. And these 5 rings kind of operate like the rings of Saturn, how Saturn has rings around the spear, right? It has multiple layers of rings going around it and look beautiful. So does Uranus, but Uranus's rings are so high volume that we can't really see them. I think Saturn does too, but they're not in 3D. So we can't pick them up with our ordinary, with our eyes, our eyesight, our range of vision, and we can't pick it up with our technology, which is tuned into our range of vision, which is 3D, right? To the Earth, the rings, the one closer to Earth and through the Earth is known to Hermetists as the psychic plane or the animal plane. Now, as I said, people who haven't conquered their animal nature, their lower self, and are really animalistic and barbaric, they're really dense, they're like a part of the animal kingdom. They're like what you call beast man. Yeah, any color too. We're not just talking about Muzungu. Anybody who can't tame their animal nature and is kind of a slave to their objective mind and a slave to sensuousness and a slave to their vices and stuff, that kind of person doesn't go beyond the one that goes right through the earth, the animal plane. Their consciousness goes to the animal plane to dwell. Remember how we talk about the length of time that consciousness spends in between carnations, and for some people it might be as much as 500 years, and for some people it might be as short as 100 or 200 years, and they already powerfully manifest a new avatar, a new body, and have another experience or another incarnation on the earth, so they can have another chance at growing through the scale of the spiritual scale, because it's all growth. Everything must go back to source. Like when you hear the Quran say, in the end, every soul has to return to Allah. Even the most evilest soul that you think out there are reptilians and great, they all got to return to Allah. They got a longer journey than we have, because they're further away from source than we are. Do you understand? But everything must go back to the source, whether you want to call it Allah, whether you want to call it Amun, Barkolum, everything has to go back to the source. And this is the master plan. As we said in a previous live, there's nothing outside of all. So even evil isn't operating on its own terms. Evil is operating on a set of rules. Evil cannot escape the all, or cannot escape the Most High, is what we were trying to say, okay? Now these dwellers on the threshold, these spirits, you may even use the word jinns in Islamic language when we're speaking about these dwellers on the threshold, demons, jinns, spirits. These disembodied spirits, some of them choose not to really leave the earth. They still, because they're on the first animal plane and it goes through the earth, they're still interacting with human beings. They never really get to ascend away from this plane. So even during their rest periods between incarnations, they're still down here interfering with human beings, with life, because they don't have the power to manifest their own body to have another reincarnation. So these jinns, or these disembodied spirit, these dwellers on the threshold, they look for humans that were similar to them. Like, let's say the person had an alcohol problem when they died. They died from alcohol addiction. He fried out his liver drinking alcohol. That kind of person will look for somebody with a alcohol addiction, so that they can attach to that person's photosphere or to that person's aura, and they can continue to indulge in the sensuousness and the addictions and the vices that they had when they was here inside a body. So they put it this way: there's humans here who don't have a body, who are still operating in this sphere of existence and influencing other people and possessing other people who are open to them sort of possessions. Once your vibration is at a certain kind of descended to a low density vibration, then you're in range for these disembodied spirits to fiddle with you. And remember, everything about you is written in your photosphere. Our eyes can't see it. When we look at each other, we just see flesh. We just see the human. But really, if you ask the all to give you the eyes to be able to see auras, maybe you might start seeing auras. And then with that comes a whole bunch of other stuff that you might see in this realm that they never really taught us about in school, because it doesn't really directly affect our experience in the physical world, so therefore they don't put it in the textbooks. Do you understand what I'm saying? But things like cats have this range of vision. They see these disembodied spirits and demon stuff we can't see. We also have the ability to be able to see like that, but you have to ask for it and you have to earn it. Okay? So in the reincarnations, these beings, in between incarnations, these beings stay close to life as it's going on earth, and they manipulate it. And imagine what I said, these are all the low nature humans who don't have the power to manifest a new body. So imagine some of the bad-minded people. When you think of bad-minded people in your circle, yeah, imagine if they was just a spirit, and their bad-minded self is still the same consciousness, and now they just want to manipulate somebody. So when we speak about these dwellers on the threshold and this first ring of animal intelligence, that's what we're calling the psychic world. When people start playing with the psychic world, you're dealing with the lower forces of nature. We're dealing with cosmic forces, yeah? But we're dealing with, a lot of the time when you're dealing with the psychic realm, I'm talking about voodoo, obia, black magic, certain things like that. Is dealing with these same lower forces of nature. You see, like when they tell you about the story of Solomon and how he had this ring. When you go into Jewish myth and Islamic and, well, Abrahamic myth, they tell you King Solomon was the wisest man in the earth, and he had this ring with a 5-pointed star on it. And with it, he used to control jinns and demons and stuff. And he would do things like, yo, bring Queen of Sheba's throne from Ethiopia to here, Israel. And with the blink of an eye, before she blinks, her throne's there. That's because he's using these dwellers on the threshold. In that story, it's showing you, because it tells you he was using jinns, and the jinn went there, got a throne, and came back. And remember, a jinn can travel from here to the horizon in the blink of an eye. So by the time you blink, a jinn can already have reached the horizon and come back to you before you even open your eyes again. So this jinn went out and fetched the throne of Bilqis, or Queen in the blink of an eye. So as I said, most of these powers that you see, that you hear being spoken of in the Bible, in these miracle stories and stuff, they're dealing with the lower forces of nature from the psychic realm. Even people like David Blaine, when you see them levitating and stuff, and you're asking yourself, is it real or fake? Or he throws a card at the window and it sticks to the window from the opposite side, like as if he went inside the house and stuck it from the opposite side. All of this tricks and magic and tricks of illusion, yeah, they're to do with the dwellers on the threshold, these same jinns. And these are the lower forces of that realm. Like I said, there's higher forces than this. If you go into the psychic realm, there is higher forces of nature that are better to use, because there's no combat. You see, these lower forces of nature that I'm talking about here, I'm not telling you guys to go and play with them, you know. Really, really and truly, if your teacher is concerned about you and cares about you, he'll tell you to stay away from that. Like I would tell you, stay away from all that. Don't go playing with them lower forces of nature, with these dwellers on the threshold and stuff. Even if they present themselves as benevolent, even if they go on like they don't have an agenda, you can't trust these kind of entities, these kind of spirits. It's dangerous for you to use. Some people use them in healing and stuff too, not just illusory magic. People use them in healing and all sorts of stuff. But you can use the higher forces of nature, which are just clean forces. They're not lower forces. They're not negative. There's no comeback for you. There's no side effects, if you would like to use that word. Yeah. So it's better to go into the higher forces of nature, and we speak about that another time because it's not really relevant to this life. Here we're only talking about the lower forces of nature, which are mind parasites, and how it relates to the fishing and what fishing is. So when you talk about that sucked out and stuff, because there's a price to pay for messing around with them forces. They also use them in hypnotism and certain different. Um, so as we've established in other lives, yeah, this whole experience that we're having here as parts of the all is for some, unless you get regressed and have to start from the bottom step again. And the further out you are from the source, the further away you are from the source, the more unnatural you're going to be, the more malevolent one might be. The closer to source, you're vibrating higher until you vibrate so high you merge back into source, or back into Allah, or back into God. And then when you slow your vibration now, we're coming with, that's the furthest we are, like matter. When you talk about matter, matter is just energy. That's the furthest we are from the source. And then we have to make the climb back up the scale, back ascending back into the heights, okay, by using the higher nature to go over the animal nature. All this is speaking about when we go, if you want more on this kind of thread, I'm just mentioning it here to make this talk relevant, but we have talks on here called The Illusion of Reality. I think there's 4 of them, and one called The Living Library, that go into the details of all this allness and this quantum mechanics, okay? And as I said, you can find a quote in the Quran for yourself where Allah says at the end of the day, every soul is going to return back to me, all of them. So nobody's going to stay in hell forever and just burn forever eternally. That's all religious bullshit. That's the dogma of it, okay? So these are the mind parasites. When I speak about mind parasites, I'm speaking about these dwellers upon the threshold, these disembodied entities that operate in the psychic realm in the earth. Because when they speak about mankind, the human, man, Adam, man, they speak about Adam in the physical sense. So they give us a view that the human is just a physical person. Like the human here is the Jedefra you see here on the screen, the face, the hands, the speaking. They tell you that's the man. But really the man is everything you don't see. From the psychic realm, what I told you about, the consciousness and the, what I'd call, so on the scale of growth, it's all to do with the law of vibration. The higher you vibrate, the higher you will go in your climb through higher and higher worlds and higher experiences. At the moment, we're defaulted at the 3D, at the third density vibration, which is a pretty low vibration. And we're here in a time where the entire earth collectively is being brought back up to 5D in what we're calling the Great Awakening. As I said, the mind parasites, they attach to humans and they live through humans. They've battered us for 6,000 years. This has been going on for more than 6,000 years, but it's kind of been ramped up over the last 6,000 year period, which is, of course, the spell of sleep, which was cast on the original inhabitants of this planet. They live through humans by attaching to our emotions. It's like they attach to our spine and they ride humans based off humans' emotions, and they cause emotional reactions. So they work like they use you as a host. They use you as a host to be here and to experience a human reality here, or what we might call a demonic possession. And Hollywood and religion teaches us that demonic possession always involves some kind of different voices and the person's going all mad and stuff like that. But that's only one extreme form of demonic possession. The more subtle form of demonic possession is when you can't even tell that the person is under demonic possession. The person even might not even be able to tell that they're under demonic possession themselves. To them, they might feel normal. Yeah, to everybody else, they might look normal. but there's a demon that's influencing their decision. There's a demon that's influencing their thoughts, which means there's a demon that's influencing all their actions, whether it's greed, whether it's an overindulgence in sex, whether it's a binge drinking, whatever the case may be. There may be demons that you might take that thought as your own thought when it's not even your thought. That's a mind parasite giving you that thought. Do you understand what I'm saying? People with different addictions, drug addictions, sex addictions, porn addictions, gaming addictions and stuff. Yeah, these are dwellers on the threshold that have lived here before, and that's their addiction. And now they want you to have it as your addiction. So the more you succumb to it, when you get in that urge, you're making it harder for you to break that addiction, because now it's like that person's accustomed is learned to drive that car now. You're the car they learn to drive. You see what I'm saying? So these dwellers on the up the threshold, they attack us from the lower fourth, like how they're in a purgatory. So Christianity and all them and all them religions call this same plane where the ring goes through the earth and all the animal consciousness hosts there. They call this the purgatory. So these beings, because they can't manifest human body, they might manifest another avatar that's suitable for the consciousness, the stage that they're at now. So let's say one person had a nasty thing. There was a nasty person. They spread a lot of lies. They spread a lot of negativity and stuff. They might manifest here as a wasp. Now, that's not to say all wasps are humans that have manifested, but I'm saying some of them, these bugs and stuff that attack humans, that attack man, these are the dwellers of the threshold who never develop the strength again to develop a proper avatar. So now they're having to develop whatever avatar they can get to have another experience. Like I said, they've regressed. They have to start from there and come back up the scale and grow in their consciousness till they reach back up to the heights. You understand? Some of them from the purgatory, just to have a chance and redeem themselves, they might have to live as a and spread germs and spread disease, or a fly that want to keep landing on people's food and invading people's house and all that type of stuff there. These dwellers become these creatures, these parasites that attack humans. Yeah, the ones that are not strong enough to manifest a new avatar and have a reincarnation as a human. When you go to the Gnostic text, the agnostic text, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of Enoch, the Nag Hammadi texts, the Book of Giants, the Book of Gates, they speak about these entities under the name Archons. That's the Gnostic text for it. So when we say Archons, we're not necessarily always speaking about reptilians and greys and stuff, and sometimes we are, but sometimes we're speaking about these same, you're right, dwellers on the threshold that I'm speaking to you about now, these disembodied spirits, entities that are having a field day attacking humans now, and it's about to come to a head. What's happening now as well, on a higher level, is, remember when I said that we've gone through a tipping point and the earth, we're in another stage of this war. My friend Catherine from Australia, shout out to Catherine in Australia, she reminded me yesterday, she says to me, you know what, the earth shifted and we've all been put into new avatars. We're now in new higher vibration avatars, the world, the whole world. And so what's happening, because we've been put in these higher vibration avatars to be able to transcend into the 5D and beyond, the powers that be, the Archons, because of the panic, they're losing control on that level too, not just your politicians. These Archons, these dwellers of the threshold, they're losing control of having their field day down here with riding humans and stuff. So because now they're seeing past it, humans are going through the awakening and the electromagnetic net has been lifted. Humans can now rise out of this chaos. What they're trying to do now is fish humans. They're using fishing. So when we say fishing now, it's like they are trying to trap humans back into your old avatar. So everything that's happening around you with the dwellers, I'm talking about on the subjective level, on the other side of the atom with the dwellers on the threshold, they now need to fish. and test you. Okay, are you really ready for this new avatar? Or are you going to regress right back into your 3D avatar based on your emotions? So a lot of people, although all of us have been given the opportunity to ascend or to transcend this realm via these new avatars, a lot of us will find that we're giving into the same vices and we haven't gone beyond the certain tests that have come in our life. So these, I hope I'm making sense, these dwellers of the threshold are using that to fish people back into their old self. So a lot of families is squabbling and bickering and arguing with each other and getting sucked back into your old self, into your 3D vibration. A lot of friends is falling out and falling back into their 3D vibrations and falling out of their center. A lot of spouses is coming to loggerheads and falling out their center, going back in, being stuck in this 3D vibration. The whole thing is to stick us in this 3D vibration. So we run out of time and we're not able to make the most out of these 5D avatars. So this is what we mean by when we say fishing. So all the demons right now are out there fishing for souls. They out there fishing for souls, just like, to use the term they say Jesus used in the Bible, saying he was a fisher of men, so be a fisher of men. These motherfuckers are doing the same thing. Sorry about my language. They are fishing for souls out here. So everything being done on both sides, even on the objective sides with Nancy Pelosi and the Chinese, Taiwanese. And let me make a point here. If you ask a Taiwanese person what his country is called, the Taiwanese person is going to tell you his country is called China. Yeah, so we've got two Chinas. Taiwan, according to Taiwan people, is the real China. It's called China. We call it Taiwan in England to differentiate between mainland China and China Taiwan. It's two different Chinas fighting each other. These in the 1940s, I think it was, China had a civil war, and the side that lost ran off to Taiwan and didn't want to admit that they lost, like Donald Trump. They was like, shit, we didn't lose, we're the real China. So they set up themselves in Taiwan as China. They said, we're China. They set up China in Taiwan. You understand? So they call that shit China. And then you got the China, like the China we all know, mainland China. One of them's democratic and one of them's communist. So the democratic ones, they lost and they ran off to Taiwan and they set up Taiwan and said, this is fucking China, a democracy thing. And so the real China continued and became China, what we see today, or the Republic of China, the communist fucking dictatorship state. Do you get me? So now, as far as China's concerned, that Taiwan, even though they calling themselves China or whatever, that's their backyard. That's like someone running up in New York, yeah, and saying, well, New York's not America, New York's just New York. America would be pissed off. They're like, hold on, New York's our fucking our territory. You can't just come there and treat New York like its own thing. But that's basically what America's doing to in Taiwan and China. They're going over to Taiwan. That's like someone visiting New York and telling President Biden, well, New York isn't really America. New York's its own thing. New York's New York. So that's what Biden and them are doing in China. And that's why you hear this word being thrown around, one China policy, what China is saying, yo, if you want to deal with us, you have to understand that there's only one China, and it's us. If you go to Taiwan and deal with Taiwan like it's China, you're kind of taking the piss out of us. They take this shit serious. You're taking the piss out of us, meddling in our affairs. Britain did it with Hong Kong. They went there and took Hong Kong off China. Even today, Hong Kong is governed by itself due to this colonialism thing. Same thing with Taiwan. As far as Taiwan are concerned, they're China. And as far as China's concerned, Taiwan's their land. So if they don't see it as an invasion if they go to Taiwan and fiddle about with stuff. They're cleaning up their backyard, so to speak. They're fixing their own affairs. They see America as meddling in their affairs. You understand? So I just wanted to put that out there. There's actually two Chinas. That's why China's always going around talking about one China policy, yeah? Now, Nancy Pelosi going there talking about how it's the world it's the world against autonomy. It's got nothing to do with the world, yeah. And I want to make this point too. This trip, yeah, to China at this time, you got to ask yourself: is that even really Nancy Pelosi? That could rather be a clone out there that they've sent, yeah, just to instigate some kind of war because they really want a war. They need an excuse to start this fucking war. They're trying everything to start this war. So they could have sent a clone out there just to call China's bluff. China's already said, yo, we're going to shoot this bitch out the sky if you lot keep taking the piss. You understand what I'm saying? We're going to start shooting man down in Taiwan and that. Yeah? It's like America are instigating this war. And they try and make us feel like it's justified, like it's something the world got to do. It's got nothing to do with the world. It's to do with Nancy Pelosi and her husband and their investments that they have in Taiwan with semiconductors. I told you guys the same thing about Ukraine. How there's so much business interest in Ukraine. It's all about corporate interest. These politicians, they do not care about me and you and the normal person and humanity and progressing humanity and it's all a fucking scam. It's a ploy. You understand? So now it's like these devils in the West, they need an excuse to start this fucking war. So with everything the world's going through with fucking stock market crashing and the planet heating up and food chain shortages and pestilences being released and all of this shit, they choose now to send Nancy Pelosi or a clone of her into this wildfire just so they can flames up the place and start up this war. It's a scam. And if you ask why, I've told you why in more than two ways, because it's also these dwellers in the threshold. It's them that are riding these politicians, you know. Yo, just got sense. Let's start the war. Let's send Pelosi over there or a clone and start this war. It's them that's riding these politicians. They are food for these dwellers on the threshold. You see what I'm saying? So that will trap a lot of people back into the 3D vibration war. What better to trap people than fucking war and the threat of war and fear of war and food shortages and pestilence, to trap us in this fear vibration where you can't get into that new 5D avatar and utilize it. You trapped in that old car that don't even want to start no more, frozen with fear. You need that antifreeze. If you get trapped in the old vibration, you're basically food for the gods. This is what I mean when I say it's not just a black and white thing. If you want to trap yourself in this fear vibration, because we don't do the fear thing, in our Kushite culture, we didn't live life in fear and fear of God and fear of punishment and fear of hell and all this fear business. We didn't operate on that. That vibration for us was dead. It was like you might as well be dead, where the thing's not even beeping no more, your heart's on flat. It's a dead vibration for us. It paralyzes man. So we didn't use a fear vibration. This is the Mzungu's thing, the caveman's thing. They lived their whole psychology was based on fear. There's not enough food, it's too cold. All this fear, like reptilians, the whole shit is just fear. So now they program the world with this fear-based doctrine. When they come in with the atheism, fear-based doctrines and fear of God, and God's gonna punish you and fear of hell. That vibration in itself, in and of itself, will trap you in the 3D avatar and make you food for the gods. You now want a vibration where they can feed off that, of your physical body. Yeah. And so this is what I mean about fishing, for you to regress back into that 3D that 3D vibration, which is more like a 6 Eva vibration. You're not on the 9 mind, the 9 Eva frequency, which protects you and gives you that Bisam, which is contrary to the mark of the beast. The Bisam makes the demons know, yo, I can't even mess with her. I can't even mess with him. That's God's daughter. That's God's son. That's God's daughter. I got to bypass this one. I can't mess with this one. I can't eat them. I can't manipulate them. I can't attach to them on that kind of level. Do you understand what I'm saying? This person's chosen by the God within, which is from the spirit of Anu. You understand what I'm saying? Genesis, what is it, 2:7? And God breathed his spirit into man, and man became a living soul. So now you really actualize that living soul. You walking around here as a light being. You walking around here as a God being on the high vibration. You can't be used by these dwellers on the threshold as no agent and shit, man, for them to live through. You see what I'm saying? If you're going on the lower vibration, you food for the gods. You remain susceptible. You in that this victimized world that they've built for us, where we're always the victim. You're always the victim. The people are always the victim. We're always drawing the short straw. You can stay on that vibration. If you stay on the 3D, the old vibration, your old avatar, that's what you can look forward to. Don't look forward to no ascension or no Anunnakis coming and taking you on ships or none of that type shit. If you want to stay on the vibration, which is politics and BBC and CNN and the Rona and yo, you're going to stay on that low vibration. You food for the gods. You're going to remain susceptible. You literally still plugged in to the matrix. So yeah, basically, it seems to me that Nancy Pelosi that they've sent on this plane is a clone. There's no way they're going to send the real Nancy Pelosi after China said, yo, we might shoot the bitch out the sky. There's no way they're going to send the real Nancy Pelosi. They're going to send a clone, yeah, and see how China responds, and then use it as an excuse to start war. And China know that shit, yeah. They know they want war. This is the hawks. America are hawks, yeah, and China are hawks. Both of them are hawks. They know the rules of this shit, yeah. They instigating. It's like chess. And I told you guys this would happen, and I really believe like this is it. Like we're gonna go into the fucking World War III off this shit. I don't think no one's backing down, because put it this way, if China now don't lick down that plane, they're gonna look real stupid. Xi Jinping is gonna look like one of them persons who say a lot of shit, but he don't really do it. When the shit hits the fan, that was all talk. He on some window warrior, keyboard warrior shit. He says he's gonna lick down Nancy Pelosi's plane. Okay, let's call his bluff. Let's send a clone out there and see if he licks down the plane. Because if he don't lick down the plane, he's gonna look real weak. He's gonna look stupid. His own hawks in China might look at him like, hold on, you're a bit scared, bruv. How come you didn't lick? You said you was gonna lick her down, and you didn't lick her down. So Biden and them know this. Okay, he's put his foot in it now because he's made big statement, and Xi Jinping likes to make statements. So now let's see if this guy's really with this smoke. So now it's all on China. Yo, China, are you really with this smoke? I think they are. They're not gonna want to look stupid, because that's like a domino effect. If people start laughing, oh, America brought the war and these man back down with their tail between their legs, that's a disaster for China. So I feel where we're going, whether it happens overnight or by the end of the year or whatever, where we're going with this thing now, it's like we're gone, yo, I told you guys, tipping point. We're gone past the line of scrimmage now. Every fucking thing's changed. The world's spinning faster. People are psyching out more. They're getting annoyed and shit. Time's speeding up. These dwellers on the threshold, they're attaching to your family members, to your friends, to your work colleagues, to people you thought never would act like this. Now they true susceptibility, let's say that, because it's not their true self. People say, oh, people's true colors is showing. I've said that. Let me take that back. People's susceptibility is showing. How susceptible are you to this matrix? How susceptible are you to this weaponized frequencies that they're throwing out there, to this food, to this fucked up food, to everything? How susceptible are you? It's showing now. This is why people are finding they're changing. You feeling like, bastard, I feel like I don't know this person no more, or this person switched up on me and making me feel some type of way. We're all getting played right now on both sides of the atom. Yeah. So yo, the eagle, the dragon, and the bear, man, when I kept telling you in those lives, are we in the days of Revelation? Are we in the days of Noah? From way in 2020, I've been telling you niggas this, from the Black History UK on the Instagram channel. There's still lives on there where I'm speaking about this shit. You understand what I'm saying? And on my own Instagrams, some of them I had to delete because of the censoring. And even recent Instagram and here on YouTube, which has became the main place for me to put this message out. Just for the chosen few, just for the hermetists, not to try and save the world, but to save my world, yeah, within to without. So when the Anunnaki finally come here, don't be caught up in this frequency, man, where you're susceptible and you're food for the gods, man, yeah, and you're on this victim shit, because a victim can't be a god and can't be a son or daughter of God, yeah. Genesis 82 verses 1 to 6. John 10 verses 34. You can't be a god and still be a victim, still be caught up in this humanness, and you've drank the Kool-Aid and convinced yourself that you're some type of human when you're a sovereign. You understand? Nancy Pelosi and them, they want war, and they've called China's bluff by what I believe is sending a clone out there. You understand? And you know how much money it costs to fly her out there with the security detail, even the clone, because it's got to look perfectly real. There's a whole heap of taxpayers' money involved in this shit. You understand? They trying to make a point, yeah? And I told you the tensions between China and the US are higher than ever. I said that the day before this shit kicked off like this. I said, listen, the tension's higher than fucking ever right now between Xi Jinping and Biden and China and the US and that. This chess game has come to the last few pieces on the board where it's peak. This is the peak where it's like, okay, let's see who's going to win. And it's like loggerheads right now. You can say it's pretty even, or you could even say China and Russia kind of got the upper hand. Yeah. So now they're using this to fish us back into that fear vibration, fear of an impending World War III, Armageddon. Yeah, which most people miscall apocalypse. Apocalypse just means the removal of the veil. The Armageddon, from the word Megiddo, yeah, and we gave you the history of that shit there before. Armageddon is the war from within to without that we're seeing now ramping up and ramping up. As it ramps up, the speed of the earth will ramp up and the quickening of the time will ramp up, and we're seeing it being reported on news channels like Wion. Like, it's not just Jedefre saying it no more on his Scribe Tribe page. This is Wion. They got fucking reach, man. You understand? They saying, yo, why is the planet spinning faster, and coming up with some Muzungu fucking excuse? But at least they admitting that the shit's spinning faster, and we've told you how that and time are linked. Okay? So now is the time, like I told you guys for so long, when you see me putting on my TZT page, the Kaibalion and the 7 steps of the Emerald Tablet, the Emerald Formula, to birth your astral self, which begins with calcination, which is literally, like I said, I'll repeat for you. Shout out to the sister that passed me this jewel. And she said, yo, calcination is picture a needle in a haystack. Yeah, and the needle is underneath the haystack. Now picture burning that haystack with fire. Yeah, and what's left is the needle. So when you speak about you and get into your real self, like, this is called the magnum opus, or the great work of the ages, for you to get to your real self underneath all this hay. All this, the hay represents all the shit that this reality, this illusion of reality has put on top of that needle. There's a whole fucking haystack on top of that needle. People is out here searching for a needle in a haystack. They're using religion, they're using all types of different ways to try and find their true self, right? Or try and find God. You can interchange self and God, whichever term works for you, yeah? So let's picture Islam, Christianity, Judaism. That's like using a fork and moving the hay. That shit might take you fucking couple hours, couple weeks, couple months, whatever, yeah? There's many ways you can get through this hay. But the process of calcination in the Hermetica is, forget the forks and shovels and wheelbarrows and moving the hay like that. Calcination is setting fire to that hay and burning the whole hay till every strand of hay is burnt up, and the only thing left is the needle. So now it's easier for you to find that needle amongst all this charred hay. The charred hay is everything the world gave you. You burnt that shit off, yeah? And you're left with the needle to find yourself, or to find God, the true face of God. Do you understand? That process is the process of calcination. It's the process of you stepping into your own fire, because it's never going to burn you. It's only going to burn what you're not. It's only going to burn that hate. Everything they try to tell you that you are since nursery, in primary school, in secondary school, in college, in university, if you went to university, in the media, in documentaries. Somebody always trying to tell you who you are. They don't want you to tell yourself. They don't want you to go through the process of calcination or processes like negation, where you searching for your real self. They want to define you for you and tell you. And a lot of us here allow them to define you for you on many different levels, whether it's religion, whether it's history, whether it's science. We're allowing people to tell us what this shit is. And they can't really tell us, because when you scrutinize what they're saying, it's all vague, it's all undefined. None of them really do a good job of explaining what this really is, yeah? So calcination is that needle in a haystack, and that's only one step out of 7 on your quest through the Emerald Tablets to bring forth your astral self, that needle in the haystack, that real light being, that spirit of God that is underneath all of this matter, yeah, and vibrates at a much higher frequency, and is the key for us to escape this, and is the key for us to get through any meteor shower or any heat increase or whatever. People think this is a game. It's not a game. This is really serious. This is only for the esoteric people. It's not for the exoteric, for the mainstream, for the religious zealots, for the people who are clinging to these belief systems. You understand? Yeah, so when they're telling you on the news, and I call out Channel 4 News as well, because I want Channel 4 News, they say the world is facing democracy or autonomy. It's got nothing to do with the world. You see, when we accept these things, when we watch the news, subliminally, we're accepting what they're saying. You're right. Walaikum salam, Malik. You good? Yeah, man, alhamdulillah. Accepting what they're saying when they're saying, oh, the world is faced with a choice between democracy or... It's got nothing to do with it. So when you hear this stuff on the news, say it to yourself, even inside your head. Say, listen, it's got nothing to do with the world. It's to do with you. Like, don't just sit there and listen to the news. Like, because it's spells that they're putting on you when they're saying certain things. If you just sit there and accept it, that's a spell that you've subliminally accepted. It's nothing to do with it. It's to do with corporate interest. Yeah, what they're saying is lies. Even some of these smaller news channels, yeah, they don't want to be seen as instigators. So they trying to tie us all. Every time they have a war, they make it about the world. Oh, Saddam, the world's faced with Saddam Hussein and a dictatorship. It's not, we ain't faced with shit. Saddam don't want nothing from me. I ain't got nothing for him. Yeah, and they keep telling us the world. Fair enough, some of these jihadis, yeah, but they're questionable. Because if you ask me, all them niggas is CIA anyway. You understand? But you know where I'm going with this shit here. It's not to do with the world. It's not to do with us. So the mass media, once they start saying that and talking in that kind of way, turn that off and find another news channel that's not talking in, planting them kind of spells. Like, start Xing out these news channels. Because like I say, this is how they program our subconscious mind. And we don't understand how dangerous this is. We might think nothing. We're just sitting there, just listening to the news. Yeah, I know it's not real. I'm just listening to see. Nah, you're getting programmed. You ain't no wizard stronger than them. Yeah, the kind of screen magic they're using, I don't care what you tell yourself. If you're not taking certain precautions and saying certain supplications and stuff, even when you're watching films and stuff, yeah, if you're not like rebutting like stuff like that, the world faces, nah, the world don't face nothing. You facing it. You bloodlines, you Kabbalists and your corporate interests, all this is your lot's thing. Stop trying to, they can't tie us into it by making us to sit down docile listening to this shit here. Yeah, use your own magic to repel that shit. Yeah. They don't want to be seen as the instigators over this Taiwan shit, just the same as this Ukraine shit. But soon America's gonna have to get involved the way this shit's going on both sides with the Ukraine and with China. They're gonna have to get their hands dirty soon. And so is England. And if you see, like, England's not really been on the world stage since Boris left, because we in chaos right here. Because they know Richie Sunak, if they put him in office, they losing the classroom. Yeah, and even Liz Truss, they lose the classroom. Yeah, yo, come on, imagine it. None of them are worthy for this job. Neither is Starmer. So right now, England's got to try and find how they're going to deal with this shit. You understand? So it's peak right now. But basically for that first segment there's 3 segments, yeah? This is why I'm saying people are getting easily annoyed, because whether it's on the world stage with politicians and celebrities or whatever, or whether it's down here on the ground level on streets and stuff, it's all mind parasites. It's dwellers of the threshold. And a lot of these mind parasites come from our old paradigms, like growing up in Catholicism or Christianity or Hebrew doctrine as a Rasta, and having a certain, just a basic understanding of the scriptures and stuff. You understand, where you grow out of them doctrines and you start looking back towards your ancestors and making your journey back towards your ancestors. But there's certain mind parasites that we've still not got rid of from these previous schools of thought that we've grown up in and we've come through. So we're carrying them with us, and we're carrying these susceptibilities into different schools of thought. Yeah, and then when we get to these different school of thoughts, yeah, what we do is any information we get, we look at it with the old lens. We haven't yet managed to change that lens that's got all them mind parasites and stuff, and screw on a new lens and look at this new information with a new unbiased, open-minded lens. We're stuck in these mind paradigms like fear of hell and what if I'm wrong, yeah, but what about this and Israelite this and these mind traps and these mind parasites are shredding us out here. And then so a lot of us just become numb and become lost in the muck and mire information. There's information coming from everywhere. Everybody's got some kind of different perspective. And I keep telling people as Jadefre, what's your perspective? You understand? Because a lot of us, we're looking for people to define this shit for us. I can't define it for you. What I'm doing here for you is sharing my notes, how I define this shit for myself. I'm sharing them notes with you. So hopefully we can come to agreements on certain things, and I can understand your perspective and stuff like that. So we can see, you understand, we can see each other. Yeah, but people are looking for people to do all the work for them and define this shit for them. Yeah, so these mind parasites with their fishing is why people are getting easily annoyed, because they've got to start loggerheads with each other. So we can never focus on, hold on, what's controlling this realm? The higher realm that most of us can't see because our pineal gland's not even fully functional and shit. Yeah, they got us down here at loggerheads with each other as families, as friends, as countries, as governments, as races, as sexes. It's all chaos down here. Okay? So as I said, this is part 2. Fin for souls, yeah? If you're in a low vibration, like I said, you're susceptible. You're going to remain in a victim mentality and always be victimized by these disembodied spirits, these entities, yeah? And so they're going to control your thoughts, which is going to influence your decisions. You're going to make bad decisions, and you're going to give in to certain old paradigms and certain old habits and old tendencies, and you're going to remain stuck, yeah, in that low vibration. You're going to go back to them habits you formed, that you some of us might get away from these things and find that we're going back to certain shit, yeah? And habit, yeah, if you keep doing something enough for it to become a habit, yeah, it can then become an obsession and an addiction, yeah? These mental parasites, they work off these mind parasites: doubt, self-doubt, yeah, self-hate, hate in itself, yeah, racism, yeah, greed, yeah, sexism, yeah, any kind of addictions like sex addiction, porn addiction, same thing, drug addictions, alcohol addiction, you understand what I'm saying? Game addictions, gambling addictions, any kind of addictions, man. They work through that. Yeah, escapism. People that like to use psychedelic drugs and stuff and escape from the reality of this messed up world and stuff like that. Escapism, sensuousness. People that can't just settle and just appreciate life for what it is. They always need a next thrill or a next event or a next club or a next dance or a next, you understand what I'm saying? Festival or whatever. They work through sensuousness and recklessness, yeah? And a lot of the times, if they can't come through you and influence you, they try and break you down and come at you through the closest people to you, whether it's your spouses, whether it's your family and friends. That's how these niggas work, yeah? And that's why you'll find that, especially if you're a chosen one, if you're a tested one, you'll find yourself distancing from a lot of people, from a lot of discussions, from a lot of family, friends, work colleagues, associates, business associates. You know what I'm saying? You'll find that you're putting a distance between you and them, because what you'll find in these times, many people are lost in the chaos, like I was saying. They become numb. Even the people that are on the path searching for the truth out here, a lot of them are becoming numb in all of this misinformation and disinformation, and they lost in the chaos. So you got the blind trying to lead the blind, because they lost in the chaos of misinformation and snake oil. And because of the sensationalism and the romanticism of this misinformation, a lot of people are holding on to it like it's written in stone, like it's scripture. You understand? You got a lot of people online into this sensationalism and online celebrity, 5-minute celebrities, if you want to call them that, armchair philosophers and stuff. Yeah, and they also work off people's insecurities. It's all based on emotion, like I said. They stick onto our insecurities and emotional, they give us emotional reactions. So people that you see have a quick defense, a quick trigger defense and emotional reactions regarding any topic, they're being ridden by these dwellers on the threshold. Do you understand? You'll find a lot of people also need to be correct. A lot of people in your family, in a religious perspective, if they tell you need to find God or you need to find Allah or this is what it says in Quran, or they feel the need to be correct, and they feel the need to convince you to believe the same as they do. They're dealing with a belief. They don't even know if this belief is true, because they call it a belief. It's a belief. It's not a fact. But they feel like they need you to not know. They want you to believe, to regress back into believing like believe. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because that's all that's all they can hold on to. They functioning off them old paradigms. Okay, a lot of people also give a kind of, they need to be perfect. They need to be politically correct and present themselves as like perfect. They don't want no one to see that they're not perfect, even though they know they're not perfect. They have this false sense of perfectness, like they know it all, like they're unteachable, like there's nothing you can tell them to add to them. Like, and it may be, like I said before, some people don't want to hear the truth from you. You could be telling them some Einstein shit that is proper stuff, you understand? But they just don't want to hear that shit from you. They'd rather hear it from someone else, whether it's someone outside the family or some Muzungu or Arab or from Islamic perspective. They don't want to hear it from you. They'll only accept it if it comes from someone other than you, based on whatever reason, you understand? Yeah, so humans have got to confront the psychic realm. All hermetists know this. As yourself, you've got to confront this psychic realm that I've told you about, this animal plane, where the animal minds, that's where, when they die, like all animals, that's where their consciousness goes, to this first ring. Yeah, and the second ring, and the third ring, and the fourth ring, and the fifth ring are for souls that are more higher in vibration and more advanced. The furthest ring out in the 5 rings around Earth is for those who have vibrated the highest, and they nearly transcended from this realm. They might only need one more incarnation and they gone beyond that 5th ring. Now they can transcend into other realms, because remember what we said, our souls is connected to the sun. So when we talk about electromagnetism and how black people are sun people and our consciousness comes from the sun, do you understand what I'm saying? We have a chance, especially to transcend this realm here, this earth matrix, and go and experience higher realms, and other races too. Yeah, about 30% of Asian people, or Indian, whatever you want to call them, and 15% of white folks. Yeah, 85% of us, 35% of Asian folk, and 15% of Muzungu folk. Yeah, we can transcend this bitch. Yeah, the rest they can't. They only gonna go as far as that animal plane, just like a lion or a tiger or what. They only gonna go there. They ain't going no further. They're what you call a basic intelligence, and they can't vibrate no higher than that plane. They're always gonna be an animal or top of the food chain. Yeah, and this is how the scale of existence works. Okay. The people who are going to be falling out and at loggerheads with each other and arguing each other and trying to conflict with you, and they will come for you, they will attack you, they will attack your peace, they will try and attack your truth, they will try and find fault in something so they can throw you off, so they can say, okay, well, they're like me, at least, because misery loves company, and a lot of human beings are miserable. Yeah, so they're going to try and confront you. But the ones that do that expose themselves as the ones who haven't done the inner work. They haven't done this great work to bring forth to be the magnum opus, to bring forth the real self. They haven't calcinated. They haven't tried to burn through that haystack. Yeah, you're dealing with a whole bunch of hay and shit when you're trying to deal with people. You're not even dealing with a real person. Do you get me? They will attack you. They'll attack your growth. Like you ain't got the right to grow. They want you to stay in that box, whatever the box they formed, whatever opinion they formed of you. They feel like you're not allowed to change from that opinion, so you're not allowed to grow into a different person or a better person. They feel like you don't have the permission. They are offended by your growth. You understand what I'm trying to say? They're offended by your perspective. It offends what they believe about their religion and what the Kool-Aid that they've drank about this reality and stuff. You offend them. Just your mere presence offends them. The fact that you haven't broke, you haven't given up, yeah, your truth offends them. Yeah, they will take offense from the stuff you're saying without you even having any intention of offending people. They expose themselves. They'll try, like I say, they'll find insult and find fault. So that's why they will try and find fault in you and try and insult you, because they're trying to reflect. They're externalizing. They're projecting that shit. Do you understand what I'm saying? They will misrepresent anything that you're saying, that part. So be careful. Don't feel the need to engage with these people and try and explain and try and put forth your case and argue with them. Once the energy's set a certain way, that's fishing. They're trying to fish you. That's one of them dwellers on the plane that's riding them. Do you understand what I'm saying? To get you out of your center, to make you susceptible to this shit. You see what I'm saying now? So therefore, silence sometimes is the best answer. You have to choose when and where to respond or not. That's real wisdom. Not trying to explain everything to everyone and acting like you know everything and you're right and everyone else is wrong. You're just the same as them. That's an emotional reaction. That's an urge. You feel the need to be right and stuff. Let them have whatever opinion they want of you. That's got nothing to do with you. That's to do with them. If you hear if you understand what I'm trying to say to you, because they'll always attack you. It doesn't matter. Yeah? They'll misrepresent what you're saying. They'll misrepresent what you're being. They'll misrepresent what you're becoming. They're scared of that shit. From the ground level going straight up to the politicians and stuff. Yeah. The archons are losing control. Yeah. And they're in a panic. Yeah. That's why the script, the narrative, the mainstream media is being so cautiously ramped up. When I say cautiously, they're very cautious right now about what they say in the media and how they use it, because they've known since 2020, bastard, the world's onto us. Even before 2020. But 2020 proved, validated for them, it's true, man, the world's onto us. No one gives a shit, really, what we're saying no more. I mean, the people that matter, the people that are brave enough to act and to inspire change, we ain't listening no more. A whole part of us, before this whole, let's say before 2018, we were still very much plugged into this matrix, a lot of us, even as truthers and that. But since like 2018, 2019, we started to see this pandemic coming, man, in a certain kind of subconscious way without knowing. So we started seeing through this shit more and unplugging from this matrix, and then boom, yeah, because they knew, bastard, these niggas are plugging from the matrix now in a part where we can't control them the same way we used to control them. So now, yeah, in 2020, what happened confirmed that. It confirmed for them, bastard, they don't really care about what we're saying no more. They don't really listen to what we're saying no more. It confirmed it for them. So right now, in 2022 and stuff, they're very cautious of how they use this media. They still fuck around because they have to, they're desperate. But it's not the same, they don't use it in the same reckless way they used to use it, because they know we're not watching it no more. We're holding it to scrutiny for everything it reports and says, and for how it reports, yeah? So the narrative is being used very cautiously right now, this mainstream media. They realize we've stopped drinking the Kool-Aid. The system is falling and will continue to fall. And they know if they don't recapture the grasp on people's mind with this mainstream media, the news and CNN and how they run stuff, like I just mentioned, them talking about China. Oh, the world is now faced with a choice between democracy and autonomy. Before, we used to fall for all that shit. I could sit there and that shit just programs me. Yeah, and now I can't let that shit fly. It's like, hold on, no, it's not our thing, the world. This is you lot. Like, a lot more people are being like this. We're not plugging in, we're plugging out. Yeah, and they know if they don't get people to plug back in to the politics, the voting, the mainstream media, Hollywood, celebrities, you understand, the fear-based business. If they don't get people to plug back in, then we're going to continue to plug out and go into this 5D vibration, and that means their media is going to fall. They have to be capturing our attention, and that's why they're going to overdrive with the propaganda and the proxy wars and the Hegelian tactics and shit, man, the diversion tactics. Yeah. Okay, so part 3, this is the end, yeah. This is why now you've got planted ops in the media more than ever. There's more planted ops in our media than ever. The Joe Rogans, the Russell Brands, I'm not saying they definitely are, but we got a lot more characters like these crusader niggas, save humanity fucking spokespeople, yeah, in the media right now, which, in my opinion, in my research, they proven guilty until innocent. They all fucking planted ops until they proven innocent, especially if they're not being censored. We spoke about this before. Yeah, there's a lot more replacements going on and weird stuff like the Young Pharaoh stuff and the Rashad Jamal and stuff, where we even questioning it as these people are really dirty mortals or not to slander any of my brothers, but we have to question that, okay? And also, this is right on the cusp of August the 1st as well, which is, you know, a celebration of the abolition of slavery, even though we know slavery was not abolished, it was just legalized and made into a kind of legal economic slavery for all black people and for everyone in who's outside of the 1%. Yeah, it's still August 1st, which is the birthday of Haru, according to the young elder. It's still significant in terms of colonialism and white racism supremacy and shit like that. Okay, we're seeing more and more, even though they're trying to keep a foot on it. Even though recently in the news we haven't heard anything in that line, more and more Commonwealth countries are ditching the Queen. They come to a point now where they want answers and they want justice and they want. It's going to come to a point where the royal family and everyone else involved, because it's not just Britain, it's the whole of Europe, it's the Arabs and shit too, the Turks and stuff. All these people have to face just the justice of what they did through colonialism and white racism supremacy. Because I've said before, anybody without the divine melanin is a Mzungu. So they sub-race is a Mzungu. Mzungu is not just Europeans. Yeah, it's anybody who doesn't have the melanin to stand in the sun and be able to live here naturally in the natural environment. That's a Mzungu, or that's a hybrid. Do you understand? This stuff, like I said, colonialism is tied to false religion, which all these religions that black people are running around here now is religions of colonialism. Islam is no different. A lot of time when all of this information is being put out, it's like Islam, Muslim brothers is just ducking under it and it's just going over their head. And a lot of them feel like, okay, this is talking about the falseness of the Bible. It don't really concern the Quran. But the Quran came out of the Bible. So any falseness in the Bible morphed into the falseness that's in the dogmatic aspects of what these Arabs are trying to give you and stuff. It's the same thing. The same with the Torah, the same with the Bible, the same with the Quran. But a lot of the Muslims, they go on like, it's not talking about Islam. And a lot of them are offended, yeah, because deep down they know it's talking about Islam and it's calling out Islam too. And at the same time, they shouldn't be offended, because when they read the Quran in their dogmatic view, the Arabs have given you, that shit's slandering Medunetta. It's slandering the Quran, it's slandering Kemet, it's slandering the pharaohs, it's slandering your ancestors, it's slandering African spirituality. And if you see that as okay, then it should be okay when we're pointing out the discrepancies is in Islam. We're not even slandering it. What we're talking about when we point out these facts, it's for real. But when other religious people is speaking about Medunetta, they slandering, because a lot of the time they don't even know what Medunetta is. Like a lot of these guys, when they come out and try and tell you that the Medunetta's false, I got a Muslim friend, shout out to Khan, he's an Indian, he's telling me that the Medunetta's false. I'm telling him based on whose opinion. He's giving me something he's heard from some Islamic scholar. That's not from his own research. He doesn't know nothing about Medunetta. He probably don't even know everything there is to know about Islam. You understand what I'm saying? But he don't know nothing about Medunetta. It's probably some or some Islamic view that they've given about the pharaohs, which is a dogma. You can't ask that same person, okay, give me some facts about any pharaoh. Give me 10 facts about Pharaoh Ramesses, the one you said imprisoned the children of Israel and Moses was fighting him. Give me 10 facts about him. When was he born? Who was his dad? What dynasty did he belong to? Which wars did he fight in? Do you understand what I'm saying? Give me some facts about this guy. You're just giving me some belief. A Muslim guy told you sitting in some khutbah. Give me what you researched, because I can shred your Islam. I'll show you my research and make you look stupid like I should have been the Imam. So I'm not even slandering you. I'm pointing out the discrepancies in your doctrine. The same with the Hebrew or the same with the Christian. We're not sitting here just giving a bunch of beliefs that we just want to hold on to because it makes us feel like we're right. We've actually dug into these texts and studied them like upside down, turned them around, scrutinized them, so I can hold my own and have a debate with a rabbi or with an imam or with a priest. Do you understand? He's going to have to go away from that talk like, bastard, this guy's well read. He knows what he's talking about. But a lot of us, we don't know what we're talking about. We just hold some beliefs that's been in our family for God knows how long, and nobody ever challenged it. And all of us just, like, the kids just inherit that shit. That's how black people are rolling. We're not really digging up the truth and researching stuff. Shout out to all the people who really do dig up the stuff. Whether it's in Islam, whether it's in Judaism, whether it's in Christianity, which is just isms. Judaism, Christism, Mohammedism. See, it's religion versus Ma'atian. You can't be Muslim and Ma'atian. That's a conflict, and a lot of people are on that conflict where they still half and half. They, like I said, they carry in the mind parasites and the old lens from their old time schoolings, and they looking at the new information with the old paradigm. So it's they're trying to fit it into their old context. It can for you like that. You're never gonna figure it out like that. You understand? When we speak about Ma'ati spirituality, you can say it's if you want to use the word religion, it's an atheist religion, meaning that we don't base on no bigot God, no male figure, bigot God who just sits in the middle of nowhere, apathetic about all the chaos and madness that's going on earth just to prove points and stuff. We don't have that. Do you understand? We have forces of nature in the cosmos that is in a one mind, a divine mind, that is unified into the oneness of all things. And this divine intelligence is infinite divine mind. And our highest science and our highest understanding came out in the works of the Netertehuti, which is Kybalion and Hermetica, which actually is the foundation of all these religions. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense in the first place, none of these religions. Yeah. So you got to choose whether you're going to go into this Ma'ati and stuff, which doesn't involve the dogma of gods and all of that stuff. That came later. Egypt went spooked out into religions because it started in Egypt. They started making the Neteru into gods and all of that stuff when Tahuti never called himself a god. He never told us to worship no gods. We weren't supposed to worship no gods. We were supposed to become them. You understand what I'm saying? The atheist religion teaches you about Mother Nature and Father Time. It teaches you that in the aspect of creation, the yin-yang energy is a dual aspect in the oneness of all things, which makes the wheel alive. So you have the centripetal, the masculine force, penetrating force, and you have the centrifugal, the feminine energy, the grounding force. And them two energies create everything in this physical reality, okay? The active and passive side of the mind of God, which although it's one, it separates into the dual mind, which is infinite divine mind. Yeah, everything is consciousness of we've spoken about in the mind field of mentalism. It's the mind of Bar Kolom, or the mind of God. Contemporary religions is just weaponized spirituality. Yeah, weaponized spirituality. Religious minds, you will find these same people that attack you coming from their angles of religions and stuff, they are really unread. Outside of their religious biasness and whatever the imam or the priest or the rabbi told them, they're really unread and unlearned. They don't know nothing about Kemet. They don't know nothing about the Olmecs or the Mayans or the Xian Shang Chinese or Illuminati or none of that stuff, or the history of Europe and the Muzungu and none of that stuff. They just stuck in a book. They just stuck in an emotional response where they feel comfortable. Do you understand? A lot of them are biased and self-righteous and ignorant. And so if you check around you right now, the people that are squabbling with each other and stuff, they're the real simple, basic animal nature people that are really susceptible to these psychic forces. They're susceptible to these dwellers on the threshold, to these jinns, do you understand? On all degrees, Muslims, Christians, Jews, these religious people, these dense people, because all that belief stuff is for weak minds. And so it traps you in a fear-based fear of punishment, fear of Allah, taqwa, or fear of God, hell. You understand what I'm saying? Like all that fucking Yahweh shit. And so they're the ones that are ignorant, the ones that see the world through a blurred lens or the wrong lens, and are trapped in emotional reactions based on beliefs. And they need you to believe what they believe in to feel better about that belief, because they don't know if it's true, it's a belief. So that's why they go around on the missionary shit, where they want to make you a Muslim or they want to make you a Christian, because they want you to be, yo, the more people that can be unsure like them, then yo, this must be true, because look how much people is just, they in that fear business. Yeah, and then they go out and kind of like try and recruit. Stop listening to these folk, man. These folks are being ridden by the mind parasites, the dwellers of the threshold, the jinn, yeah, ifrits and stuff. Yeah, get out your emotions. Stop reacting to, oh, he sweared, so I'm not going to listen to him. Notice I haven't even sweared much in this life, because I'm going to start taking out that excuse, so people can't even use that excuse no more. Yeah, yo, stop listening to these Hebrew Israelites that are trying to trap you in a King James Bible that only came around since 1611 AD. So there weren't even no King James Bible before 1611 AD. Do you understand? The Bible within itself is only since 325 AD. So stop letting people trap you in that biblical shit. Don't get me wrong. Take what's relevant from it and scrap the rest and move on to the next source of study. And then study that source of study and take what's relevant and scrap the rest and move on to the next source of study. You were never meant to stay in one school of thought and feel like, oh, if I stray and start questioning stuff, some God is gonna dash me in a fire where a devil with with two horns and a pitchfork and a little tail comes and pokes me. A little geezer with the horns and the pitchfork, like on the hot sauce bottle, he's gonna come and poke me. Yeah, get away from these mind parasites. You understand? All of that is weaponized spirituality. It's what is foreign religions, foreign thinking that's got nothing to do with Ma'atian spirituality, which is atheist religion, meaning we don't believe in none of that Abrahamic shit. When it's talking about Yahweh in the form of the God and all of that crap there, we have our own perspective on deity, on Neteru, on Anunnaki, on Orisha. We have our own shit. We don't need to explain our stuff using an Islamic lens, or using a Christian lens, or using a Hebrew Israelite lens just to make it credible, to validate it. African spirituality, Ma'atian spirituality, Dogon science, none of that type of stuff. West African spirituality does not need no foreign doctrine, whether it comes from the Roman Catholic Church, whether it comes from the Arabia and the blood clot Kaaba. We don't need them to verify our stuff. Our stuff verifies itself. Our stuff can be found in every museum. You can't find me a Muhammad in no museum around the world. You can't find me a Jesus Christ in no museum around the world, or John, or the bloody 12 disciples, or the four gospel people, Mark, Matthew, Luke, John. You can't find me none of these folks. You can't find me no Abraham or no Noah or no Jonah. None of that stuff. I can find you Ramesses, Seti the first, Tutmosis the first, Amosis, Kamosis, Hatshepsut, Queen T. I can find you the Kendakes of Merowe, Tahaka, Shabaka, Shabataka, Tanatamun. I can find you King Arkamani. I can even find you Olmec skeletons, buried real Olmec skeletons and pyramids and stuff. Olmecs, Mayans, Xian Shang Chinese, Jade warriors, all type of shit going back 10, 20,000 years. And you can't find me none of these geezers from 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, if you want to push it that far. You can't find me no one's chair. You can't find me no one's clothes, no one's house. You can't find me nothing, mate. I can find you Gilgamesh. God damn it. I can find you Osiris. God damn it. I can find you all these beautiful realities that they told you was myths, was primitive myths from primitive people, semi-savage people. And we can find them. We can go to the London Museum right here in the UK. I can come to your neck of the woods and go to your museum, and I guarantee you I'll find my ancestors. Yeah? And I guarantee you that I won't find none of these Abrahamic religious stuff, none of it in the museum, because the museum doesn't show beliefs. It shows facts, tangible facts, reality. Yeah, so you religious people need to question that shit. Yeah. So what I'm saying now is the only escape from these dwellers on the threshold and where the world's going and how you see people being attacked through their vices, through their religions and stuff, through politics, through the media, yeah, is for you to go into the quantum mechanics of the Kaibalion, the Emerald Tablets, yeah. Contemporary religions have failed. That's weaponized spirituality. There's not enough in it to get you through what's about to happen. And I'm warning, guys. I'm telling you, you better heed my warning. Yeah, stop listening to these religious folks and these Islamic folks. I don't care how conscious you feel these Islamic brothers are. They're not conscious, they're Islamic. Stop listening to these Hebrew Israelites that are going on like they're conscious and they're spiritual. They're not conscious, they're not spiritual. They're Hebrew Israelites, they're biblical. They're stuck in that Bible. Do you understand what I'm saying? And stop listening to Christians about this Jesus stuff and trying to make everything about Jesus and pivot everything around Jesus. Get away from that shit there, because that was just one thread in our tradition when we're talking about Isis, Osiris and Horus. That's just one aspect of it. You understand? Like, stop listening. If you are coming from any of these religions, like let's say you grew up a Muslim So you're not really clued up about Kemet, or you grew up as a Christian, or you grew up as a Hebrew Israelite in the Rasta thing or whatever. So you're not really too clued up about Kemet. Don't listen to your own religious people and what they say about Kemet or stuff outside their religion. That's stupid. If you've made the decision to let me go and learn about Kemet, learn from the people who are celebrating Kemet and who put their life works into uncovering what Kemet really was, like Sheikh Anta Diop and Ivan van Sertima and Dr. Ben Yochanan and Dr. Henrik Clark and Dr. Malachi Z. York and Kaba Kameni and Professor James Smalls. Yeah, go to the guys who have made that their study. Stop listening to people in your own paradigm to try and tell you about stuff outside of your paradigm, because they're going to speak with a biased lens, and they're going to try and speak all of this stuff down so they can keep you here. See, they don't want you to leave. You understand what I'm saying? So you can't go and ask an imam about the pharaohs, because he's only going to give you what the Islamic traditions, all the false shit they say about the pharaohs. That's what's going to drive his opinion. Do you understand? You have to go to somebody who's not tied to Islam to learn about Kemet. Or if you want to learn about Islam, don't go to a Jew, because then a Jew's going to say, well, Islam is the devil's religion. You understand? But a lot of religious people, when they want to get at Kemet and say things like my friend Khan, they listening to their own people and their own biased view about, they don't know nothing about Kemet. That Imam probably doesn't know nothing about Kemet. They don't even know Ramesses and Moses ain't even in the same time. You understand what I'm saying? They trap themselves. Go back to the master teachers, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't be daft and fuck people's opinions. Yeah? If you want to have an opinion, at least learn yourself first. Say, okay, let me go and read about this Ramesses and whatever. Yeah? And then once I've read about it, and I've gone and studied from people who know about this stuff outside my religion, then I would form an opinion and debate with people in my own religion and outside my religion. This is how you're going to come to the realization of stuff. You can't just use your own, you understand, bias lens. I hope I'm making sense. Yeah? Like, we can talk about Muhammad, Moses, Jesus from a religious standpoint, like I can bust down any biblical narrative or Quranic narrative or Torah narrative you want, and we can dissect it. Yeah, but you people, any people who watch this, who ain't down with what I'm saying, can you do the opposite? Can you bust down what I'm speaking about and dissect it in the same way I can with your stuff? See, I've studied your stuff. I've had to study your stuff because I was born in Islam. So I grew into an understanding of what Islam is through and through, inside out. So I've not just got opinions about Islam, I know about Islam enough to speak with, hold my own with any Islamic scholar. Do you understand? And then I went outside of Islam to look at things outside of Islam. And I had to learn how to get rid of that Islamic lens. The point I'm trying to make is, don't look at things purely from a religious standpoint, because then it will stop you from learning about other stuff, because your religious perspective will blur your lens and make it biased, so you're not really looking outside your religion, you're trying to justify your religion. Yeah, don't study stuff from a religious perspective, that's ignorant. Study stuff from a political perspective and a historical perspective to find a real historical origin of something. Like, if you're going to study Islam, don't just study the Quran, study what is the history of Islam in Arabia, what is the history of Arabia, even regardless of Islam. How was Arabia before Islam? Because then it might teach you some shit that you weren't even privy to. It might open up some stuff and link some dots for you. The same with Christianity. What was the history of Rome and Greece before Christianity hit there? And what was the history of Christianity before Rome and Greece with the Ethiopians and Lalibela? And how does it link? Go on your own study and do it, like, look from a historical, political, scientific perspective rather than a belief thing, a religious perspective, because that will trap you. And I'll end on this lastly for you guys, yeah? I've said it before, there is no meaning to life and existence, yeah? You see, religion, Religion is someone else's meaning, the meaning that they came up with, the perspective that they came up with, whether it was one person or whether it was a group. And they came up with, okay, this is our view and perspective of what the world is. And because we're in a position of power, everyone's got to agree with what we're saying, because we're so insecure about this shit. We can't have nobody talking about Maat and all this high shit. You have to stop talking about that, and you have to agree with what we're saying. This is someone else's meaning that they've attached to this line, the purpose of the line, and everything. Yeah, that's what religion is, whether it's your Christianity, your Judaism, your Buddhism, your Jainism. That's somebody else's perspective, and that somebody's perspective may have been so pure at the start that people to it, and they start worshipping this guy as a god and stuff, and they stop trying to reach their own perspective, and they just believe in this guy's great perspective. It's somebody else's perspective, it's somebody else's meaning. Life don't have no meaning. You have to give meaning to your life. What you do, your gifts, your talents, what fulfills you, your passions, your purpose, all of that shit is the meaning of life to you. Whatever meaning you give to life, that's the meaning of life. If you say life is for the living and you just want to live, then that's the meaning of your life. The meaning of life is to live. Do you understand what I'm saying? Another person might say the meaning of life is to die and live his whole life worrying about how the afterlife's going to be and preparing for the afterlife and being obsessed with the afterlife or a life after death. Life is what, the meaning of life is what you give to it. So stop letting, it's too late, we're in 2022. It's too late now, we're too advanced to still be trapped in somebody else's perspective. Oh, just because an Arab said it, that's why. Like I could say, who wrote the Bible? Oh, well, God wrote the Bible. Where did he write it? Well, he sent it down on Mount Sinai to Moses. Was you there? You're going to have to say no. Okay, so who told you that? Well, that's what Christians said. Yeah, but how do you know what they said's true? Just because he said it don't mean it's true. Okay, who wrote the Quran? Oh, Allah wrote the Quran. Does Allah have hands? No, Allah doesn't have hands. Can you see Allah? No, you can't see Allah. Then who wrote the Quran? Oh, Muhammad wrote the Quran. Also, Allah told him he wrote the Quran. Yeah, Allah told him, well, Angel Gabriel told him to write the Quran, and Allah sent the Angel Gabriel. Who told you that? Well, that's what we believe. Okay, so it's a belief, so he wasn't there. So you just believe in the next man's perspective. That's not even your meaning or your perspective. You just swallowed that Kool-Aid because the Arab said, this is the word of God, this is the Quran, this is the word of God, and everything else is bullshit. Yeah? You believe that. Okay, you're free to believe that. You believe the Bible's the word of God. When did the Bible come down in English? Oh, I don't know. Oh, it came down in 1611. So before then, how would people get to heaven if they speak English? They don't even know about the Bible. When they die, you see where I'm going with this kind of stuff? Like, according to who? When? According to who wrote the Bible or wrote the Quran or wrote the Torah? They say the Torah was written by Moses. I say the Torah was written in 586 BC, way after Moses. Yeah. So whatever Torah Moses wrote must have been lost in the Rasclar. Stop letting them ride you. Stop letting them manipulate you. Yeah, it's too late. It's 2022. It's time for us to get away from all of this manipulation on the subatomic side, with the dwellers on the threshold and stuff, and on the atomic side. Yeah, if we can do that and go through the process of calcination and give our own meaning to our life and define this reality for ourselves, we will be less manipulated, less affected, less susceptible to these dwellers on the threshold, these mind parasites. They won't be able to fish us out of our center and trap us in this 3D dense vibration. We will make the ascension. Yeah, religion is a lie. Yeah, do not die in a lie, any of these lies and these illusions of reality. Yeah, that's the end of my transmission. Thanks for tuning in. We love you all. Namaste.